Dr. Kim Hana rubbed her tired eyes as the strange signal danced across her computer screen at 3 in the morning. The Seoul Deep Space Observatory was quiet, except for the steady hum of cooling systems and the occasional beep from monitoring equipment. She had been tracking routine space debris when this mysterious transmission cut through the cosmic background noise like a knife through silk. The signal wasn't coming toward Earth. Instead, it shot past their solar system, toward empty space, 200 light-years away, as if someone was trying to reach help that existed somewhere in the vast darkness beyond human knowledge. "Professor Kim, you need to see this," Park Min-ho called out from his workstation, his voice shaky with excitement and fear. The young graduate student had been working beside her for the past 6 hours, trying to make sense of the alien mathematics buried in the signal's structure. Hana walked over to his monitor, her coffee cup forgotten on her desk. What she saw made her heart skip a beat. The transmission contained perfect mathematical sequences, prime numbers, the golden ratio, pi calculated to impossible precision. These weren't random radio waves from some distant pulsar or cosmic event. This was intelligent communication, and whoever sent it knew exactly what they were doing. "Look at this pattern here," Min-ho pointed to a series of repeating frequencies. "It's teaching us how to decode the rest of the message. They're assuming whoever receives this might not understand their language, so they're starting with universal math that any spacefaring civilization would recognize." The main door to the observatory burst open, and Lieutenant Choi Ji-won from the Korean Space Defense Division marched in with 2 armed soldiers. Her military uniform was crisp despite the early morning hour, and her expression was deadly serious. "Dr. Kim, by order of the Defense Ministry, this facility and all its data are now under military classification. You and your staff are to cease all analysis immediately and surrender your findings." Hana felt a chill run down her spine. "Lieutenant, this could be the most important discovery in human history. We can't just lock it away in some government vault." "Those are my orders, Professor. National security takes priority over scientific curiosity." But Hana had spent her entire career studying the stars, dreaming of the day when humanity might hear voices from beyond Earth. She couldn't give up now, not when they were so close to understanding. As Ji-won set up her communication equipment to contact headquarters, Hana quietly copied the signal data to her personal drives. Over the next 12 hours, working in secret while pretending to follow military orders, Hana and Min-ho slowly cracked the alien code. What they discovered made them both wish they had never picked up that signal. The transmission came from a dying world in the Kepler 442 system, 47 light-years from Earth. The senders called themselves the Kethvar, and they were running for their lives. Their planet had been attacked by something they called the Hegemony, a massive space empire that traveled from world to world, destroying any civilization they considered inferior or threatening. The signal contained detailed star maps showing hegemony fleet movements, biological data about the Kethvar themselves, and most terrifying of all, a countdown timer. The Kethvar had managed to escape their homeworld in small refugee ships, but the hegemony was hunting them down one by one. They were beaming this desperate message toward coordinates where they hoped to find allies or sanctuary. "Professor, look at this timestamp," Min-ho whispered, his face pale in the monitor's glow. "This signal was sent 3 months ago. If they were running then and this hegemony was chasing them..." Hana felt ice form in her stomach as she realized the implications. The Kethvar refugees were heading toward the coordinates they had aimed. Their message at coordinates that lay far beyond Earth's solar system. But the hunting fleet following them would pass right through human space to get there. Earth wasn't the intended recipient of this cry for help. They were just an unlucky civilization that happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. The hegemony would arrive in their solar system not knowing or caring that humans existed. They would simply see another primitive world that needed to be eliminated. As if reading her thoughts, the computer suddenly chimed with an alert. Long-range telescopes had detected massive objects moving through space at incredible speed, heading directly toward Earth's solar system. The objects were too large and too fast to be asteroids or comets. They were ships, and they would arrive in less than 3 months. Hana looked at the countdown timer still ticking away on her screen, then at the approaching fleet markers on the telescope display. Humanity had intercepted a message meant for someone else, and now they were about to pay the price for that cosmic accident. The galaxy's most ruthless predators were coming, and Earth didn't even know they existed. The hunt was about to reach human space, and there was nowhere left to run. Captain Lee Sunho was drinking his morning coffee when the alarm started screaming throughout the space station, Dokdo. The military outpost orbited Earth at the edge of human space, watching for asteroids and space debris that might threaten the planet below. In 30 years of service, Sunho had never heard the deep space intrusion alert actually go off. "Captain, you need to see this right now," called out radar operator Kim Tae-hyun, his voice cracking with disbelief. "We have multiple contacts approaching. From the outer system. They're massive, sir, bigger than anything we've ever built." Sunho rushed to the main display screen and felt his blood turn to ice. 12 enormous objects were moving through space toward Earth, their angular shapes unlike anything in human technology. Each vessel stretched over 5 kilometers long, covered in dark metal that seemed to absorb starlight rather than reflect it. They moved in perfect formation, cutting through space with the deadly precision of hunting wolves. "How fast are they traveling?" Sunho demanded. "0.7 light speed, sir. They're slowing down as they approach our solar system, but at their current rate, they'll reach Earth orbit in 6 hours. Communications officer Han Miran looked up from her console with wide, frightened eyes. "Captain, I'm receiving a transmission from the lead vessel. It's in perfect Korean, sir. They're speaking our language." The main screen flickered, and suddenly Sunho found himself staring at something that would haunt his nightmares forever. The alien creature had a vaguely humanoid shape, but stood nearly 3 meters tall. Its skin was dark gray like old metal, with 4 arms ending in razor-sharp claws. Most terrifying were its eyes, completely black, without any trace of mercy or emotion. "Primitive species of the 3rd planet," the creature spoke in a voice like grinding machinery. "You have intercepted and decoded Kethvar communications. This constitutes interference with hegemony hunting operations. Your world will be cleansed of all life before we continue our pursuit of the refugees. Any attempt at resistance will only prolong your suffering." The transmission cut off, leaving the bridge of the Dokdo in stunned silence. Sunho stared at the blank screen, trying to process what he had just heard. These aliens weren't coming to make contact or study human civilization. They were coming to wipe out every living thing on Earth, simply because humans had listened to a radio signal. Down on Earth's surface, emergency broadcasts interrupted every television and radio program across the globe. President Yoon Ji-ho appeared. On screens in Seoul, New York, London, and every other major city, his face grave but determined. "Citizens of Earth, 3 months ago, our scientists detected a signal from deep space. Today we learned that signal has brought visitors to our world. These visitors call themselves the Hegemony, and they have informed us that they intend to destroy our planet and everyone on it." Panic spread through the streets as people watched their president deliver humanity's death sentence. But Yoon wasn't finished speaking. "The Hegemony believes we are primitive and helpless. They think we will cower and beg for mercy that will never come. They are about to learn how wrong they are. For thousands of years, humanity has survived ice ages, plagues, and 2 world wars. We have split the atom and walked on the moon. We have never surrendered to any enemy, and we will not start today." Back on the Dokdo, Sunho watched as Earth's military forces scrambled into action with shocking speed. Every nuclear submarine surfaced simultaneously, their missile tubes opening toward the sky. Space elevators that normally carried cargo began, launching military payloads instead. The International Space Station extended weapon systems that most people never knew existed. "Sir, I'm reading massive energy buildups from the Hegemony ships," reported sensor technician Park Jin-young. "They're charging some kind of planetary bombardment weapons." Through the viewports, Sunho could see the alien vessels beginning to glow with ominous red light. Each ship was preparing to rain destruction on the blue world below, just as they had probably done to dozens of other civilizations. But something strange was happening. The Hegemony fleet had slowed their approach and seemed to be scanning the space around Earth more carefully. Their sensors were picking up thousands of objects that shouldn't exist around a primitive world. Military satellites, armed space stations, and weapons platforms that rivaled their own technology. "Communications from Earth Defense Command," Moran announced. "All civilian spacecraft are ordered to evacuate the combat zone immediately. Military vessels are to assume attack positions and prepare for engagement." The lead hegemony ship sent another transmission, but this time the alien commander's voice carried a note of confusion. "Impossible. Our intelligence indicates this species achieved spaceflight only recently. How do they possess such extensive orbital defenses?" Admiral Song Hyeri's voice crackled over the fleet communication system from her flagship in Earth. "Orbit. Attention hegemony vessels. This is Admiral Song of the Earth Defense Forces. You have threatened our world and our people. We suggest you reconsider your intentions." The alien commander's response was a burst of harsh laughter. "Your primitive weapons cannot harm hegemony warships. We have conquered 47 worlds. Yours will be the 48th. What happened next shocked both the humans and the aliens. Earth's orbital defense platforms opened fire simultaneously, sending streams of plasma and kinetic projectiles toward the hegemony fleet. The aliens' shields flared and sparked under the unexpected assault, and for the first time in centuries, hegemony ships took damage in battle. The hunt had reached Earth, but the predators were about to discover they had chosen the wrong prey. Admiral Song Hyeri gripped the command rail as explosions lit up the space around Earth like deadly fireworks. The main screen showed 12 massive hegemony warships facing off against hundreds of smaller human vessels, and somehow the humans were winning. She had spent her entire military career preparing for conflicts with other nations, never imagining she would be commanding Earth's first interstellar war. "Ma'am, the mining ship Busan Harvester just rammed the second hegemony vessel," reported Sergeant Kang Do-yeon, his voice mixing horror and pride. "Captain Cho went right through their shield generators before the ship exploded. The alien vessel is losing power and drifting." Song watched in amazement as ordinary cargo ships and mining vessels joined the battle alongside military craft. The Seoul Express, normally used for transporting supplies to Mars colonies, had been loaded with every nuclear warhead South Korea could spare. Its crew of 5 had just delivered a devastating blow to the hegemony flagship before barely escaping. In their emergency pods, the aliens had expected to face primitive rocket ships and maybe a few laser weapons. Instead, they found themselves fighting an entire solar system that had been turned into a weapon. Asteroid mining platforms launched house-sized rocks at incredible speeds using magnetic accelerators. Communication satellites had been reprogrammed to emit focused energy beams that could cut through alien armor. Even the old space shuttles from museums had been fitted with missile launchers and sent into battle. "Admiral, I'm getting reports from all sectors," called out Communications Officer Lee Min-jae. "The cargo ship Incheon Runner just took out a hegemony fighter squadron using modified industrial lasers meant for cutting metal asteroids. The aliens can't seem to understand how we're using civilian equipment as weapons." Through the bridge, windows Song could see the battle raging across thousands of kilometers of space. Human fighters, many of them converted racing ships and personal spacecraft, swarmed around the massive alien vessels like angry wasps attacking giants. The hegemony ships were powerful, but they had been designed to bombard defenseless planets, not fight an enemy that turned everything into ammunition. The most shocking sight was watching Earth's nuclear arsenal in action. Every nuclear weapon on the planet had been quickly fitted with ion drive engines and guidance systems. Instead of sitting in underground silos, they were now flying through space at tremendous speeds, turning themselves into the most destructive missiles ever created. When they hit the hegemony ships, the explosions could be seen from Earth's surface. "Ma'am, we're receiving a transmission from Dr. Kim Hana at the Seoul Observatory," Min-jae announced. "She says it's urgent." Song activated the communication link, and Dr. Kim's excited voice filled the command center. "Admiral, I've been monitoring long-range sensors during the battle. There are new signals coming from the Kuiper Belt, way out past Pluto. It's them, the Kethvar refugees. They're here in our solar system, hiding among the ice rocks and debris." The news hit Song like a physical blow. The battle suddenly became about more than just Earth's survival. Somewhere in the cold, dark outer reaches of their solar system, the peaceful aliens who had sent that original distress signal were watching humanity fight their hunters. How many ships? Song asked. 17 small vessels, Admiral. They're damaged and low on power. They've been hiding out there for months, probably too scared to approach any closer to the sun. They must have been terrified when the hegemony fleet arrived. Song felt a surge of protective anger. These HFY refugees had done nothing wrong, except survive the destruction of their homeworld. Now they were trapped in humanity's backyard, while their killers tried to finish the job. Sergeant Kang, redirect the 5th Fleet to the Kuiper Belt immediately. I want those refugee ships protected at all costs. Ma'am, that will leave Earth's lunar defenses understaffed, Kang warned. Do it anyway. We don't abandon people who need help, even if they're not human. The battle continued to rage as human vessels formed a protective barrier around Earth while simultaneously sending rescue ships toward the outer system. The Daegu Defender, originally built to transport mining equipment, loaded its cargo bays with medical supplies and headed toward the refugee fleet at maximum speed. On the main tactical display, Song could see the hegemony formation beginning to break apart. 3 of their massive ships had been destroyed or disabled, and the remaining 9 were taking damage faster than their repair systems could handle. These alien hunters had never faced an enemy that fought back with such creativity and determination. Fighter pilot Captain Park Soo-min's voice crackled over the communication system as she led a squadron of converted racing ships against a hegemony destroyer. Command, this is Wolfpack Leader. The aliens are trying to retreat toward the outer system, probably going after the refugees. We can't let them reach those ships. Song made a decision that would define humanity's place in the galaxy. All ships, new primary objective. Protect the HFY refugees at all costs. Earth can defend itself. Those people out there have nobody else. The human fleet began a fighting withdrawal toward the Kuiper Belt, turning what had started as a defense of Earth into a rescue mission for complete strangers. The hegemony had come expecting to find cowering primitives, but instead, they found a species willing to risk everything to protect refugees they had never even met. The hunters were about to learn that they had picked a fight with the wrong species, entirely. Engineer Lim Seojun pressed his face against the small porthole of the HFY refugee ship, watching in complete disbelief as human warships surrounded their tiny fleet like protective wolves guarding lost cubs. His people had been running and hiding for 6 months, expecting nothing but death when the hegemony finally tracked them down. Now these strange aliens from the 3rd planet were putting their own lives at risk to save complete strangers. These HFY were a peaceful species, standing barely 4 feet tall with large, gentle eyes and soft blue skin. Their homeworld had been a paradise of art and science, until the hegemony arrived and turned it into burning ash in less than a day. Seojun was one of only 3,000 survivors from a population of 2 billion. Human ships are taking heavy fire while shielding us, reported Navigation Officer HFY Nim, her voice trembling with emotion. 3 of their vessels have been destroyed protecting our convoy. I do not understand why they sacrificed themselves for us. Elder HFY Vel, the oldest survivor and their unofficial leader, floated beside Seojun at the viewing port. His ancient eyes, which had seen the destruction of their world, now watched humans die to keep his people alive. In all our travels across the galaxy, we have never encountered such behavior. Most species flee when the hegemony appears. These humans charge toward the danger instead. Dr. Kim Hana's voice came through the translation system that the humans had quickly set up between the fleets. She was aboard one of the human command ships, coordinating the defense, while simultaneously trying to communicate with the refugees. Elder Vel, we're repositioning your ships toward the asteroid belt, where our mining stations can provide better protection. Can your vessels handle the acceleration? Dr. Kim, Vel responded, his voice heavy with gratitude and confusion. Your people barely know we exist, yet you risk everything for us. In our culture, such selflessness is considered the highest virtue, but we never expected to see it from another species. Why do you help us? There was a pause before Hana's simple reply came through the speakers. Because that's what humans do. When someone needs help, we help them. It doesn't matter if you're human or not. Seojun felt tears in his large eyes as he watched the battle unfold around them. The space near Earth had become a graveyard of twisted metal and burning debris, but it wasn't just human ships being destroyed. the mighty hegemony fleet was taking. Losses like never before in their long history of conquest. Every piece of junk floating in Earth's orbital space had become a weapon. Old satellites had been reprogrammed to explode when hegemony ships came near. Defunct space stations were loaded with nuclear warheads and crashed into alien vessels like massive suicide bombs. Even broken rocket parts from decades-old missions were being fired at incredible speeds using magnetic launchers. "Look at this," whispered Kethvar Nim, pointing at her sensor display. "The humans are broadcasting our location and the hegemony, fleet positions to every inhabited system within 100 light years. They're telling the entire galaxy where to find their enemies." Seogen stared at the data, streaming across their communications array. The humans weren't just fighting the hegemony, they were exposing them to every species the aliens had ever oppressed. Star charts, fleet movements, weapon specifications, and tactical weaknesses were being transmitted across space in dozens of different languages. "Command, this is Wing Leader O," came a fierce voice over the human battle communications. Fighter pilot O Yuna was diving her converted racing ship through a field of wreckage from a destroyed hegemony destroyer, her engines screaming as alien fighters pursued her. These big ugly ships aren't so tough when they actually have to. Fight something that shoots back. Yuna's fighter was barely the size of a hegemony escape pod, but she was flying it like a precision instrument of war. As Seogen watched, she led 3 enemy fighters into a trap where human destroyers were waiting. The alien ships disappeared in brilliant flashes of nuclear fire. The largest hegemony vessel, their flagship command ship, was trying to break through the human defensive line to reach the refugee fleet. But every time it advanced, swarms of human fighters and converted civilian ships threw themselves at its weapons, sacrificing their lives to buy time for others to attack its weak points. "Their shield generators are failing," reported Kethvar Nim, her voice filled with amazement. "The flagship is actually retreating. I never thought I would see hegemony forces run from anything." Through the chaos of battle, Seogen could see human cargo ships evacuating survivors from damaged vessels while simultaneously launching attacks against the aliens. A medical transport ship, called the Gwangju Mercy, was pulling injured fighter pilots from the wreckage of their craft while its rear cargo bay launched modified mining explosives at a hegemony cruiser. The most incredible sight was watching. The humans coordinate their defense while teaching other species how to fight back. Every tactical success, every weapon that proved effective against hegemony armor, every weakness they discovered was immediately broadcast to civilizations across dozens of star systems. "Elder Vel," Seogen said quietly, "I think we have found more than protectors. We have found teachers who are showing the galaxy how to stop running and start fighting back." The hegemony had ruled through fear for centuries, but now that fear was turning against them as the hunters became the hunted. Dr. Kim Hana adjusted her translator device as she walked through the halls of the newly constructed Galactic Embassy in Seoul. 6 months had passed since the Battle of Earth, and the world had changed beyond recognition. What started as humanity's desperate fight for survival had transformed into something nobody could have predicted. Earth had become the center of an interstellar resistance movement. "Dr. Kim, the Kethvar delegation has arrived for the signing ceremony," announced her assistant, now Commander Park Min-ho. The young man who had once been her graduate student was now leading Earth's most classified project, reverse engineering, captured hegemony technology. Through the embassy's massive windows, Hana could see the first official Kethvar diplomatic ship landing on the specially built platform. The small elegant vessel was nothing like the damaged refugee ships that had limped into Earth's protection months earlier. This one gleamed with new armor plating made from human Kethvar hybrid technology, and its weapon systems were based on designs that had proven devastatingly effective against hegemony forces. President Yoon Ji-ho stood waiting in the ceremonial hall, wearing a formal suit decorated with small pins representing every species that had joined what the galaxy now called the Earth Alliance. Beside him stood Elder Kethvar Vel, his soft blue skin marked with traditional ceremonial patterns that honored fallen warriors. The peaceful species had learned much about warfare from their human protectors. "Mr. President," Elder Vel said, through his translator, his large eyes reflecting the lights of Earth's orbital defense platforms visible through the windows. Our scientists have completed the first prototype of the new class destroyer. The ship combines Kethvar energy technology with human tactical systems. We call it the Soul's Promise. Hannah smiled as she remembered the scared refugees they had first rescued. Now the Kethvar were building warships alongside human engineers, determined never to run from the hegemony again. Their homeworld was gone, but they had found a new purpose as Earth's first interstellar allies. "Commander Park, what's the latest intelligence on hegemony movements?" President Yoon asked. Minho activated a holographic display that filled the center of the room with a three-dimensional map of local space. Red dots marked enemy fleet positions, while green dots showed Allied forces. The map was far larger than anyone had imagined 6 months ago. "Sir, we've confirmed 17 additional hegemony fleets operating within 500 light-years of Earth. The galaxy is much bigger than we originally thought, and it has a serious bully problem. But the good news is that we're not fighting alone anymore." As if to emphasize his point, the communication arrays throughout the embassy began receiving incoming messages from dozens of different star systems. The translation computers worked overtime to convert alien languages into Korean, English, and Kethvar dialects. "Message from the Zephyrian Republic," announced Communications Officer Han Miran. "They've successfully driven hegemony forces from their outer colonies using the tactics we taught them. They're requesting permission to send a battle fleet to join our defense forces." "The Crystalline Collective reports that they've captured an entire hegemony supply convoy," added another operator. "They're sharing the intelligence data with all Alliance members. And the Iron Brotherhood says they've convinced 12 more systems to join the resistance. They want to know if Earth can spare military advisors to help train their forces." Hannah watched the flood of messages with amazement. The news of humanity's victory had spread faster than anyone expected. A previously unknown species had not only answered a distress call that wasn't meant for them, but had made the galaxy's most feared predators retreat in defeat. More importantly, humans had shared their tactical knowledge freely with anyone willing to fight back. Eldervel approached Hannah with what passed for a smile among his people, a gentle brightening of his large eyes. "Dr. Kim, more ships arrive every day in Earth orbit. But these are not refugees fleeing from the hegemony. These are warriors coming to join your alliance. Species that have been hiding and running for generations are finally ready to stand and fight." Through the embassy windows, Hannah could see the proof of his words. Earth's orbital space had become a bustling hub of interstellar activity. Sleek Zephyrian cruisers patrolled alongside human destroyers. Massive crystalline collective mining ships had been converted into mobile weapons platforms. The spider-like vessels of the Iron Brotherhood worked with human engineers to build new types of faster-than-light communication systems. "The galaxy has needed protectors for so long," Vel continued. "My people searched for 1,000 years, looking for someone strong enough to stand against the hegemony. We never imagined we would find them by accident, and we never dreamed they would be so willing to help complete strangers." Commander Park pulled up another display, showing the current Alliance membership. "We now have 47 different species in the Coalition, representing over 300 star systems. The hegemony still outnumbers us, but they're fighting on dozens of fronts now instead of picking off isolated worlds one at a time." President Yoon stepped forward to address the gathering of alien diplomats and human officials. 6 months ago, we were alone in the universe, thinking we were the only intelligent life among the stars. Today, we've learned that the cosmos is full of civilizations that just needed someone to show them how to fight back against tyranny. A new alert chimed on the communication system. "Sir, we're receiving a priority message from the Outer Patrol Fleet," reported Miran. "They've detected 3 hegemony scout ships approaching the edge of our system. Instead of the panic such news would have caused months earlier, the announcement was met with grim satisfaction." Eldervel's translator crackled with something that sounded almost like laughter. "Let them come. They will find Earth quite different from the helpless world they remember." Through the windows, Hannah watched as the combined fleet of Allied ships moved into defensive positions. Human vessels flew alongside alien craft of every imaginable design, all united by a common purpose. The hegemony scouts would discover that Earth was no longer just another target. It had become the heart of a galactic uprising. Humanity had reached for the stars expecting to find either empty space or hostile conquerors. Instead, they had found neighbors who desperately needed protection, and in protecting them, humans had found their true calling among the stars. Earth had entered the galactic community not as newcomers begging for acceptance, but as the cavalry, riding to the rescue of civilizations that had been waiting for heroes for far too long. The end